And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Thursday, July 11th, 2024. If you'd like additional weather information on top of what you get in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. It'll bring you to the National Weather Service's online presence. A map of the continental U.S. will show up on the web page with Hawaii and Alaska to the lower left and tabs for the various territories. And you point and click anywhere on this map. It'll give you a very specific forecast with any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for any location in the nation. Quick check of the weather map on this Thursday afternoon. We have flood watches for the potential for heavy showers, thunderstorms that could dump down 2 to 4 inches of rain per hour, resulting in flooding or flash flooding. And then out west, we still have the heat wave underway. California, Arizona, the Intermountain West centered on Nevada. In fact, Las Vegas forecast high for this late afternoon, early evening is up around 118 degrees. That's the air temperature. The heat's going to continue for a bit longer, though some monsoon moisture will be coming northward up from Arizona here as we get into later this week, along with a little cooler temperatures. But here in Alaska, whenever you have that kind of heat sitting in the western U.S., it makes for a cooler and wetter pattern across much of the state. And we expect the cool and wet pattern to continue. It looks like past mid-July in a number of locations. We have another round of steadier rain moving into southwest Alaska tonight into Friday. And then a wet and windy system will impact much of south central, the Gulf Coast Panhandle, and then lifting further northward into the central eastern interior later this weekend and early next week. And then one final interesting note, we are entering the noctilucent cloud season in Alaska now through early August. The thing is, though, we need to have clear skies to see that, and I'll explain a little more. But a quick check of some of the FAA webcams this afternoon. Tanana in the central interior, building shower, 61 degrees, scattered about. That'll be the case. Could even be a rumble of thunder there this afternoon, evening, and again on Friday. Off toward the southwest coast around Kuskokwim Bay, we're looking at a steadier rain to develop tonight and continue through the day on Friday. And then as we get up into the Susitna Valley, Skowentna could see some heavier rainfall by the time we get into Saturday, because you're going to have southeasterly upslope flow along that side, the west side of the Susitna Valley. Right now this afternoon, some moderate cumulus have built up with a temperature at 65. And then Johnstone Point, they're just on the inside of Hinchinbrook entrance. We expect weekend rain and wind, especially on Saturday. Could be some gale force gusts along with periods of moderate to heavy rainfall there with that system. Now yesterday, Juneau had a record 1.73 inches of rain recorded for July 10th. That beats the old record of 1.53 inches. That's 2/10 more of an inch from the previous record set in 1961. And another round of some heavier rainfall will be moving into the Panhandle this weekend, especially latter Saturday and into Sunday. That's why the special weather statement has been issued for this northeastern Gulf Coast and the Panhandle in anticipation of this next system. Now back to the west, this is the special weather statement for southwest Alaska for the rain that's going to come tonight into Friday. Another round of steadier rain, a ½ an inch to perhaps as much as 2 inches in some areas where you get upslope flow with a southeasterly wind. So again, very soggy pattern, and we're going to have a secondary low form just south of the Alaska Peninsula later Friday and right up past Kodiak Island and kind of split through the Kenai Peninsula, and that's what's going to bring some heavier rain along the eastern Kenai, Prince William Sound, and then shifting eastward across the Gulf past Yakutat into the northern central parts of the Panhandle here later this weekend. So active pattern. One thing, though, all this rain and cooler weather has done is really helped the firefighters take down some of these last active fires. If not put them out, at least it provides some structure protection. And the only thing we'll have to be concerned about, some Chinook winds off the Alaska range this weekend could fan some of those larger fires in the eastern interior, but at this point, if it does cause them to spread, It's not anticipated into any populated areas. And then the outlook going through this weekend, early next week, rain that has moved, the high fire danger has just knocked it down, snuffed it out across the west and southwest interiors. And certainly the fire danger, what pockets remain that are higher in the south central areas up into the eastern interior, will be knocked down this weekend and early next week as that system spreads a lot of moisture north and eastward. And so the only thing is we have to watch in August because there's still the potential for a drier period to emerge at some point. But right now, at least the next week or two, generally below normal temperatures and wetter conditions will prevail. A quick check here of the spruce adjective here for where fire danger is a bit higher. Areas around the Kenai, you get lower Susitna Valley on over toward far north end of the Copper River Basin. And we find at least the potential for some higher fire danger with the spruce. Now, an interesting thing, we're entering the time of year where we have a chance to see the world's highest clouds, noctilucent cloud season. It got underway actually back in June for especially northern Europe. But here in Alaska, because of our high latitude, we have too much daylight. But now that we've lost some of that daylight since the solstice, the limited viewing season is latter half of July now through early August, and it's the Earth's highest clouds 50 miles above the surface, composed of meteor dust and traces of water vapor. I took this photo last summer on a flight as I was flying over southeast Alaska on the way to the Midwest. And this was around midnight local time, but these electric blue clouds, you can tell them because these are the normal, we call tropospheric clouds. You know, those are some thunderstorms or the tops of some buildups there around, the Yukon-Alcan border. But, you know, these clouds may have tops of 20, 30, 50,000 feet. This is 50 miles above the Earth's surface. Very beautiful electric whitish blue clouds that are visible from time to time. Now, looking at the satellite imagery, we find still some moisture off the Gulf Coast here, a trough that lingers. Inner areas of the Panhandle did get some breaks today, not as rainy as yesterday. We still have a potential for some scattered showers here along, especially the Yukon, middle upper Yukon Valley, and up through the south side slopes of the Brooks Range. Could even be a rumble of thunder. Again, that'll be the case Friday afternoon. Still warm enough and some instability there, but back to the west. Here comes the next system that's going to be pushing into the southwest coast areas along the lower Yukon Delta, around Kuskokwim, Bristol Bays. Will be picking up steadier rain, especially later tonight and on Friday. And there's a trail of energy and moisture that's going to just ride eastward and then curve northeastward up along the Alaska Peninsula into the western Gulf. And eventually all that's going to spread further northward and eastward later this weekend and early next week. So here's the weather map. We have this one low. This is a colder low. We have colder air aloft. This is a little more unstable there. We have a thermal trough across the interior. This weaker low, not going to have too much impact. This is the next piece of energy that's going to kind of combine with the low over the north central Bering. And as these systems get organized, that's what's going to force the steadier rain into areas along Kuskokwim and Bristol Bay later tonight and tomorrow morning. And by the time we get into late tonight, early on Friday, we'll have a trough with showers and areas of mainly light rain continuing along the Gulf Coast into parts of the Panhandle. By Friday afternoon, this low is going to try to get better organized and head northeastward. That's going to have a lot more in the way of moisture. This air mass is quite mild, and as that takes aim right up toward the northeastern Gulf, there could be some heavier rainfall from areas of the eastern Kenai around Prince William Sound, extending through the northeastern Gulf and pushing up along areas of the northern and central Panhandle by the time we get into Saturday and Sunday. So by Saturday afternoon, we have the low. It's going to kind of split as it rides northeastward up along the Kenai Peninsula. We still have energy, the main pinwheel low that's sitting back here over the eastern Bering and the southwest coast. That's just going to continue to circulate. That feature will eventually next week slowly drift southeastward into the Gulf. So this is a prolonged thing where we're just going to have unsettled, active, cooler weather that is wet at times, but this will be the healthiest push of rain and moisture along with some wind. There could be gale force winds along this front on Saturday as it passes through the Cook Inlet entrance, as well as the entrance, Hinchinbrook entrance there in the north central Gulf. So here are the temperatures we expect Friday morning. Lows generally lower 50s across the Panhandle. That'll be the case across much of south central, with maybe the exception mid-upper 40s, Copper River Basin down towards Seward. But otherwise, temperatures on Friday generally in the 50s to low 60s along the Panhandle. Back here to the west, Anchorage, Talkeetna still could be up in the mid 60s, 69 up there at Glen Allen. And this will be probably in this region here last of the drier weather. So if you have something you need to do, cut the lawn, get it done, because the rains will be moving in Saturday. And some of those rains could be pretty good, decent there. And by Saturday morning, low temperatures generally above 50 most areas. And then for Saturday afternoon, we expect highs to be cooler with the cloud cover, and if the rains really increase. This area here, the western portion of the Susitna Valley, could see some heavier rain because you're having those southeast winds, easterly wind flow enhanced going up the side there of the Alaska Range. That enhances the lift and the precipitation. The Panhandle will see the rain developing and moving in, becoming heavier, especially for Saturday night into Sunday. And across the interior, lows generally above 50, relatively mild, fair amount of cloud cover, so we're not going to be able to see the noctilucent clouds. Temperatures along the Arctic coast, generally just above freezing, mid-30s for lows. We have 40s down along the Chukchi Sea coastline and along the western Seward Peninsula. And then temperatures on Friday, we could still see some lower 70s, the Yukon Flats down toward Fairbanks. You know, as you get westward, there's enough instability, scattered showers, a few isolated thunderstorms still possible. And then by the time we get into Saturday morning, lows again similarly, generally above 50 through the Yukon and Tanana valleys. Lows mid-upper 30s along the Arctic coast, 40s down along the Chukchi Sea coastline, western Seward Peninsula. And for Saturday afternoon, 74 there at Fort Yukon, 73 at Eagle. So this area could see some scattered showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm pop up. Looking at the southwest interior, we have temperatures, lows tonight getting down into the upper 40s, a little cooler, maybe even mid 40s along the coastline, but rain is going to be spreading inland from off of the coast with that next system. And for Friday afternoon, that's going to keep high temperatures only in the low mid 50s with low clouds, steadier rainfall. And for Saturday morning, lows generally in the 40s with high temperatures back up only lower 50s. So again, a cool, wet pattern anticipated across all of the southwest as we go through this weekend. And a quick check of the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This takes us beyond mid-month now, July 17th through the 21st. Look at that. Temperatures are expected to average below normal across the state, with the greatest emphasis across the southern mainland, especially areas of the Alaska Peninsula along the Gulf Coast surrounding Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, Prince William Sound. And rainfall, maybe averaging, tilting a little above normal. No real high anomaly, but still, we're still staying in this cooler than normal and occasionally wet pattern as we head up and approach the 20th or so of the month.